book lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today to talk about the books that I will never unhaul. This is a 7 on Sunday topic, and I am the host of 7 on Sunday. I will link the Goodreads page down in the description where you can check it out and you can participate in a topic in the future, or you can suggest a topic. For some reason, while I've wanted to do this 7 on Sunday topic for a while, we still haven't yet. So I decided to add it to the list of prompts for this month, and yeah, here we go. When I unhaul my books, there are times that I look at the books on my shelves and I think to myself, no, there's no way I'm going to unhaul that. And sometimes I'm asked the dreadful question, if you could only save a few books from your collection, if hypothetically your house was to be set on fire, which books would you save? And I hate answering that question because ultimately I will think of like 1 or 2, but at the very same time I want to be able to save them all. I don't like thinking about that scenario. That is a very scary scenario considering that I have put years into this collection and this collection means so much to me. It brings me so much joy. Like, I literally just came back from vacation as I'm filming this video right now, and it feels so good to be back with my books. Like, I really miss this place. This feels like home, so I don't like thinking about that question. However, I decided to take the answers to that question specifically and use them as the answers for this prompt today. Essentially, I want to talk about the books that I don't plan on unhauling because these books are somewhat special to me. I really want to go through these and just share with you guys why. It might be for aesthetic reasons, or it might be because it's a very highly sought after book or series. So I guess without further ado, let's get straight into this video. First of all, I would like to talk about my first editions of Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Now, unfortunately, I never got the chance to collect the UK hardbacks or the UK editions at the time. The UK editions now look very different to what the original UK editions were. I wasn't a big fan of the original like UK paperback covers. However, I loved the hardbacks and I really wish I was a fan of the series at the time, or at least I wish I was a book lover at the time that the hardbacks came out. But then again, it's still really hard to find UK hardbacks in bookstores these days. Like, you would need to purchase them from an online retailer if you're from Australia. Essentially, I missed my shot there because back when I started book collecting, I never shopped online whatsoever, and now I do it all the time. And I mean, that's also thanks to our national lockdown that happened a few years ago. However, one day I was given a Angus and Robinson Book World voucher and I had to spend it, so I had to online shop, and so I decided to get myself some hardbacks. So I got this series. The first time I read it, I wasn't a fan of it, and I think it's because I read it at the wrong time in my life. And it was so funny because I had people be like, I love that series, can you just send them over to me? And for some reason, I could not let them go. And I'm so happy I did not let them go because this series happens to be one of my favorite series of all time. I know these covers aren't necessarily the best. I have to admit, this cover is kind of tacky. I think that it's poorly photoshopped and I don't really like the font. However, I just appreciate having these editions on my shelf so much because it's the first US edition of one of my favorite series of all time. I believe that this series is probably in my top 5/top 10. I really need to evaluate what my favorite series are of all time because at this point, I really don't know what is like top. But what I do know is that this is at least in my top 10 favorite series of all time, and I've read a lot of series, so that's saying a lot. And it's Camilo's favorite series of all time, so even though he doesn't like the covers, at least he also appreciates the fact that we have first editions as well. I can't get rid of these. I'm never going to get rid of these. I've made the decision that this means too much to me, and I'm keeping it, regardless of how it looks. I think I'm just gonna get the next one over with because I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are expecting that at least one Divergent book is going to pop up in this video. I've chosen the Insurgent Collector's Edition because this is the only Veronica Roth book I have personalized to me. She said, Grace, be strong, and I still have that sticky note. This encounter meant so much to me. So I essentially told Veronica that the Divergent series saved my life, and there's a point in Insurgent, this is why Insurgent means so much to me, where Triss finds her will to live after feeling so much guilt and so much shame, and oh my goodness, it makes me emotional thinking about it every single time. But that is my favorite part of the series. It just shows her character development so much, and I honestly just really appreciated that scene. If anything, Insurgent is my favorite book in the series because she goes through such a roller coaster, but at the end of the day, she goes through character development. And I understand why people find Triss impulsive in this. I mean, she is impulsive in this. I understand why people find her unlikable in this book in particular. However, her character development journey means means so much to me that Insurgent is probably one of my favorite books of all time. And so giving this book to Veronica to sign for me and telling her that that specific point in the book impacted me so much means so much to me. Like, I still think about that moment and how special that was for me, and I just got so emotional, just pretty much gushing to her about it. And thankfully she took it well. I was so scared I was overwhelming her, but she thanked me for sharing that, and I'm so happy that she took that well. I don't know how I would feel if someone opened up to me like that, like instantly. This edition means so much to me because it holds that special memory. I love Insurgent, I love Veronica's writing, I love what Veronica did with Triss's arc in this series, and that's why I appreciate the series so much. This was the first series that also got me into reading. It's the series that also essentially opened my eyes up to a new career path. Like, if I didn't read Divergent and if I didn't pay attention to Veronica Roth's success story, I would not know much about the publishing industry. So I pretty much owe this book series my life, even though everyone else hates it. I don't care. How do I go on from there? The next book slash series that I do not plan to unhaul anytime soon is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Now, I literally will not bring myself to unhaul these editions because you can't find matching editions out there. Like, I could probably just buy the new matching paperbacks, but like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna downgrade. But also, this series is one of my new favorite series of all time. I mean, look at how beautiful this foiling is. I also love the character art in here as well, and it's signed by Libba Bray herself. So all of this, I just need it in my life. I have it in my life, and I'm so thankful that I have it in my life that yes, I would try to work my way through the flames to save this series if it was ever in danger, because this series is just so good. I'm so obsessed with it. I didn't think that I would ever be obsessed with a horror series as much as I am, but oh my goodness, I feel that way about the Diviner series, and I highly recommend it to everyone. If you haven't read it, please go read it. It is slept on these days. No one is talking about it the way that they used to, and I want to bring the Diviners back. Please, make the Diviners trend again. And the next book that I don't ever plan to unhaul is actually a book that I've purchased another edition of recently, and I think this book, this specific edition, actually inspired me to finally put this up as a 7 on Sunday topic, and that, my friends, is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. So I can never bring myself to unhaul this because I have a signed book plate that was personalized to me. As of recently, I have also purchased the Illumicrate special editions, and I initially was trying to make excuses not to get the Illumicrate special edition, actually. However, I had 3 peers who tried to convince me that purchasing the Illumicrate special editions was the right way to go. And so I did. I made the pre-sale. It was only on sale for an hour. It was just wild. Yeah, I'm so surprised that I even got the signed editions of the Illumicrate special editions. But overall, I'm happy. The thing is, that still leaves me with this edition. It is taking up shelf space, and honestly, at the time that I was questioning it, I was literally saying to my friends, but guys, I already have a signed and personalized edition of The Priory of the Orange Tree. And they said, just don't unhaul it. Simple. Just don't unhaul it. And you know what? I'm not unhauling it. It's gonna take up shelf space, I know, but it is special, so I'm keeping it. And the next book series that I will never bring myself to unhaul is the Malediction Trilogy by Danielle L. Jensen. I love this trilogy so much, and I was kind of waiting until I had a bonus or I had a pay raise, something like that, so that I could reward myself with the hardbacks of this series, because I initially had the paperbacks. I have now passed them on to a loving home, or at least a home that loves Danielle L. Jensen books just as much as I do. I'm happy that I passed those on, but with the hardbacks, I'm keeping these. I love these beautiful editions, and also underneath the dust jacket, these aren't special editions, by the way, they're just the regular editions, but I love that little artwork there. It's just so special. This book series is just so special to me. I think it just reignited my love for fantasy romance, and I know that it's young adult, it's not new adult whatsoever, but I would still highly recommend it to absolutely everyone of any age range. This love story is so beautiful, it is so pure, and as much as everyone is hyping the Bridge Kingdom up, in my personal opinion, at least when you are putting this series against the first 2 books in the Bridge Kingdom series, this romance is so much healthier, and Tristan is a much better love interest than Aaron, in my personal opinion. But anyway, this romance is too pure for this world. I would never unhaul these books, even though these are not special editions. If I was to get special editions for the series, I'm still never letting go of these original hardbacks because I love the art for the series as well. It's just so pretty. Please read it. Please read it if you haven't. And if you find the idea of trolls weird. Trust me when I say this book series is so friendly to fae romance lovers. If anything, it very much felt like a fae romance, even though we follow trolls. And speaking of favorite book series, another book series that I will never unhaul is the Bargainer Trilogy by Laura Falasa. I'm pretty sure some of you guys expected this. This was my favorite series of last year. I'm still absolutely obsessed with this series. I would highly recommend to absolutely everyone, including those who love fae romance, because yes, this is a fae romance. This series is just absolutely magical. And I think what makes these editions even more special, these are the Bookish Box special editions, is that they had very limited stock at the time that they were selling this. I believe that this sold out very quickly, and these were never restocked for Black Friday, so I'm guessing that very limited quantities were supplied. And also, these seem to be the first editions I've seen where we have character art of these two. I love that Desmond Flynn and Calypso are represented on the covers. These are just so pretty, and also I just love that they're on the foiling here as well. And to top it all off, these are the independently published editions. Even though these were picked up traditionally, these are somewhat more valuable because the text is not the same in the editions that are currently selling. So it's in some way kind of more special to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm so excited to read the traditionally published editions of the Bargainer Trilogy. That all being said, this is so special to me because this was the original trilogy that I read. Or at least the text in this is from the original trilogy that I read. I know that not much has changed, it's just developmental edits, maybe. And I mean, there's only one way to find out, and that is if I read the traditionally published editions. I'm never unhauling these editions. I love them so much. They are my babies. And you know what? I just noticed that my nails match these editions. I'm like so obsessed. I have Bargainer nails. And the next book slash series that I am not planning to unhaul anytime soon is the Prison Healer and the Prison Healer trilogy in general, the Fairy Loot edition. I purchased this secondhand for $200. It would be a waste if I was to unhaul these. There is no way I'm going to unhaul the Prison Healer. I mean, at least with the other two books, I purchased them from Fairy Loot directly, but the first Prison Healer book was really hard to get a hold of. I purchased this off of eBay, and I mean, some of the eBay prices were ridiculous. Some people were selling this for $400. Like, $200 was good at the time, but I think because not everyone has access to the full trilogy, this first book has gone down in value. Like, some people are selling this book for like $150 or $100, and I just think to myself, I should have jumped on that opportunity, but at the very same time, I wanted to secure my copy before collecting the rest of the books in the series. So I'm really happy that I did, at least. I fought really hard for this edition, and I'm just so happy that I have it now. I mean, look at how beautiful the art is. This is beautiful. All of it, so pretty. I'm so happy I have matching editions. It's also signed by Lynette herself. And this was also very exciting for me as well because I've met Lynette Noni a few times. I started reading the Madoran Chronicles at around the time Dracora came out, which is book 3, and it's a 5-book series, but then also there's a novella collection. So yeah, you know, like, I have essentially been part of the fandom for quite some time, and I was very much looking forward to reading another fantasy by Lynette Noni, and the Prison Healer trilogy just happens to be one of my favorite trilogies of all time. So I'm really happy that I have these editions, but specifically I'm really relieved that I have this first book even though I wasn't subscribed to Fairy Loot at the time. I paid $200 for this, so I'm not wasting that. I'm going to keep this forever. The second last book I have to mention that I do not plan to unhaul anytime soon is my first hardback of Throne of Glass. I have the Nerdy Ink dust jacket on here, but I mean, it does have the original dust jacket there. The reason why I'm not getting rid of this one specifically is because I met Sarah, and she signed and personalized the book to me at the time. It is very rare that this ever happens anymore. I actually caught Sarah at the right time. She came to Australia just after Queen of Shadows came out. Queen of Shadows in the Throne of Glass series was the book that was published before A Court of Mist and Fury. And essentially, A Court of Mist and Fury broke the bookternet. Everyone and their mother was talking about A Court of Mist and Fury. Everyone became a Sarah J Maas fan at the time A Court of Mist and Fury came out. Everyone was considering themselves a part of the Night Court squad at the time. Everyone got obsessed with Sarah J Maas then. And I met her before the peak. And I'm not personally saying that to brag. I am more mentioning that because since then, Sarah J Maas has sold out all of her events. In fact, she can't do like general bookstore events anymore from what I know. Every single time she comes to Australia, she needs to be in some sort of theater where everyone is like seated, and essentially people have to go into this raffle in order to meet her. She's a huge deal here specifically. So like this was signed and personalized back in the day where we could all personally meet her and get our books signed by her. And specifically that day, I brought her Cadbury Marvelous Creations chocolates, the ones with like the jelly and the popping candy. Oh my goodness, that was like my favorite chocolate bar at the time. And I pretty much quoted Aylin where she was saying to Lysandra that Lysandra was like her new favorite person because she brought her chocolate. I'm trying to remember if it happened specifically like that, but that happened in Queen of Shadows and I thought it would be cool, so I did, and Sarah appreciated it. So that will forever live in my memory whenever I think about this specific edition of the book, so I cannot get rid of it. I mean, also the fact that she personalized it to me is cool enough. I still have the sticky note from the day. I never removed the sticky notes, as you guys can tell. And finally, the last book that I do not plan to unhaul anytime soon is actually worth a lot of money, and that, my friends, is the first Lady Midnight Waterstones edition by Cassandra Clare. I say that it's the first because it's not stamped, it's actually signed. It was physically signed by Cassandra Clare. I can happily retire in peace. I am seeing people sell this edition for a lot these days. I mean, look, I could set myself up with a good stack of books if I was to sell this one first edition. I don't know, it's really cool that I have this edition. I do somewhat remember liking the Dark Artifices series, but I think I'm so far removed from the series that I actually need to revisit it. I think it's the one Shadowhunter Chronicles series that I wasn't fully attached to at the time that I was reading it, so I intend to reread it sometime soon. Now that I've pretty much caught up by reading the entire Last Hour series, which is essentially a prequel to this series. As much as I can say that the other two hold value, I think Lord of Shadows doesn't hold as much value. You still see retailers try to sell that one for like $15 because the other editions are out of print, whereas Queen of Air and Darkness, for some, they can't collect that. I think they did a limited printing on that one, but I remember specifically at the time that I purchased this that I believe Dimmicks mentioned that only 1,000 copies were being printed, and honestly, I think that that's a lie. Maybe that was a typo. Maybe it was 10,000. No, it probably wasn't 10,000. I would say an estimation between 3,000 and 5,000 copies were printed because they were still scarce, but at the time that I was purchasing them, they were a lot. You don't see these anymore, but when it first came out, it felt less special because you saw like a bunch on a Dimmicks display at the time, but it feels even more special that I have this now because I'm constantly seeing people searching for this unicorn. Like, this is a unicorn. I own a unicorn. I feel like this is a very special book to me. I think because at the time that I purchased it, it felt awesome to purchase something that was rare at the time, and now I feel the same feelings about it. I don't think that I could ever bring myself to sell this set. So I guess it's gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay till the end of the video, leave me the sparkly emoji. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at GSwizzleBooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at GSwizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.